welcome to the webinar. Thank you, Hamina Marketing and Miranda, who went hiding literally the millisecond I clicked start webinar. So thank you, Miranda, for all the arrangements. We have yet another webinar with tens of thousands of people on board. And today it's gonna be us five old geezers talking about Wi-Fi in 2025, 26, and yeah, let's get right to it. Firstly, about these pictures, I've been using AI for making pictures throughout kind of the Hamina webinar life cycle, which is now like what 2.5 years or something like that, and the latest release of Gemini is actually pretty good for pictures, but it refuses. Apparently, Jiri and Wes are that level of rock stars. It was okay making like my picture in here and using my picture for the AI, but Jiri and Wes, it Gemini refused. It said I can't use public figures. So what's up with that? You guys being a public figure and I'm not. That's hurting my ego. So with that, welcome Mr. Wes Purvis from Juniper HPE Network slash Aruba slash Mist. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, just add a few more names on there. That's fine.
A short
Sure,
introduction.
there's some more. Did you ask Gemini why you're not considered a public figure?
That's a good question. I was afraid to ask. I was already so devastated that
Well, hello.
that was your short introduction. Hello.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Uh, I- we were talking before. This is a UC webinar, so this is what you get. You know, we're flying
Thank you
by the
for
seat of our
joining.
pants.
And for those of you who don't know, Wes runs a lot of things product at Juniper Mist. We used to be colleagues, and truly appreciate Wes's patience with me back in the day. Much appreciated. And Wes, you present at a lot of conferences on the state of Wi-Fi. You've presented on the state of Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 16, now Wi-Fi 7, and you will do that same thing again in Phoenix in a couple of months at WLPC. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty much my only spiel. It's the only thing I can talk about. So it's a fitting webinar.
Excellent, excellent. And will you spill some of the beans already today regarding adoption, kind of where we are?
If you ask nicely.
I will ask very nicely. And from the niceness, we go to from niceness to the other end. We go to Jiri Brejcha, the evil Wi-Fi man from London.
What an intro you say.
You're welcome.
So yeah, thanks for having us. I'll keep it short and sweet as well. So yeah, I'm Jiri, part of the Cisco networking team. I have the luxury of focusing just on Wi-Fi. So yeah, we basically have account SEs aligned to the customer, aligned to pretty much the full kind of portfolio. And then we have a specialist team, the Cisco networking team. So that's what we do. And yeah, I have the luxury of focusing on Wi-Fi day in, day out. So yeah, that's what I do. And I mean, being part of the pre-sales team, technically, I like to kind of stay engaged and kind of help the customer with a bit of deployment, bit of config here and there. So that's what I enjoy doing. So yeah, at the minute we will have quite a few deployments, APs coming up at a few large venues. We're working on the Cisco Live network for Amsterdam. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
busy times at the minute, this side of Christmas. But yeah, as Wes mentioned, we also are shutting down for Christmas, so kind of giving people a few days to switch off and enjoy some time with their families. And I guess the one of the other many hats I wear is the WM Pi hat as well. So with Jerry and a few other people, yeah, it's that's what we do when people go and have a drink on a Friday night. We go and geek out
This
on the
this is
WM
true.
Pi.
Yeah, so people may not know in the webinar two things. First of all, Jiri and Jerry are Jerry essentially started WLAN Pi, and Jiri is like major figure nowadays on the WLAN Pi community, and a lot of what you see in the WLAN Pi, all of it is essentially the work of Jiri and the entire team. It's like what 15, 20 people actively contributing to the project, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
about
yeah. I mean, it's all about the community. I'll let you cover that, Jerry. Over to you.
no, yeah, I was just gonna say I think there's about 10 kind of core team members and then a few that kind of come and go and contribute as they can. But yeah, we've got a pretty good group of core contributors, core developers to the project. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, it's a pretty cool community project that's, all focused on kind of stuff for wireless engineers. So yeah, anybody that's really kind of designing, deploying, managing Wi-Fi networks. We kind of focus on tools, low cost tools and kind of flexible tools in that sense for people to help do their job. Kind of a Swiss Army knife is the way I've seen it referred to.
Very good, and it's also compatible with the Hamina apps and things like that. So
Yeah.
that's very good. So from the Hamina side, we have Andrew, we have Jerry, and myself as well as Miranda hiding behind the scenes. And since Andrew is also a little bit under the weather, he'll be on chat only. I don't know if you guys noticed these pictures, but AI is pretty smart. Can you see who's lurking around the corner there? Doesn't that look like Ferney a little bit? Can you see? Did the zoom actually work? Maybe or maybe
Yeah, I
not.
did. Yeah, I
Okay,
could see it.
perfect.
It does look like a Fernay.
There's a
And isn't here a couple
resemblance.
of Jiri's colleagues back here? Isn't that Tawny? And then Nicholas, the AP guy.
Nice. I didn't catch that.
Very nice.
Hit little
AI
hidden.
is smart like that.
Just a coincidence.
Uh, yes, absolutely. I'm sure it's all hallucination. So firstly, couple of minutes on where Hamina landed in 2025, if that's okay. So shameless plug, and we did promise that too. So you have been warned. So we like to think that 2025 was the year where we kind of took the lead in site surveys, so on-site physical surveys. Because first we started with a network planning tool, but now it's kind of like many of you have done some of you have done thousands of sites with Hamina. Some of you guys have done dozens of arenas, things like that. But there's no kind of scalability limit anymore. There's no limit on the number of surveyors. We support high frequency spectrum analysis on Hamina. And one of the big deals that we came out with was this AI-fueled post-survey redesign capabilities. So you can survey a network quickly and then kind of redesign the network using that survey data as the baseline. So the survey data teaches the predictive model to be more accurate. And that's kind of been a lot of the focus this year. Maybe I could show if I get my screen share to work. Does it show? Maybe it does. Can you see my screen?
Does, yeah.
We can.
Perfect. So here's an like an indoor arena, 6 gigahertz indoor arena. We just did I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, something like that. But it's just like everything just functions and works. And this was like four surveyors, one full day pretty much at the arena. We did the bowl, but we also did all of the suites and hallways and all of that. And it's just like, you may not see it on the screen, but it's very smooth in terms of operation. So it's just, let's see
Did you
if
have to put on some ice skates?
What's that?
Looked like there's an ice rink there. Did you have to put on some ice skates to
Some of us did. Some of us are less risk averse and brave. Not saying yours truly, but yours truly. I did not wear ice skates, and I was still there. That's a statement to my imaginary bravery. But yes, we actually did also the ice, and there was ice in there because it was a hockey arena. Apparently my AirPlay stopped, but let's see if we get it going back up. Can you see the screen again? Maybe you can.
Yes.
The other thing that we were pretty excited about was the collaboration with not just Asium, who make this like amazing Wi-Fi measurement device, but NetAlive with their spectrum analyzer, which is really, really fast. So if you plug in a spectrum analyzer, you can see the raw spectral energy also on 2, 4, 5, 6. And this is not just like real time. Actually, today, hold on. Was it today, Jerry? Today we pushed a version of Hamina out, and it's approved in the App Store that also stores the NXT2000, so the spectrum analysis data to the survey route. So I don't know, Jerry. I think I heard that it went through today.
Yep. Yeah, it's in the App Store now. So yeah, if you have an NXT 2000, you now have some additional functionality that you can do with it. We've already been supporting the NXT 2000 for real-time spectrum analysis for a couple of months now, but now we've expanded that to what I'd call full support of the NXT 2000 in the survey side of the app as well, where it records tri-band 2.45 and 6 gigahertz simultaneously as you're going through doing your survey. So no additional work for the surveyor. You just plug in the NXT 2000, which looks like this. Yep, he's got one there too. So you just plug that in. You can either plug it in directly to your Nomad, which is how I typically use it. So it just plugs into the side, and then yeah, you've got now tri-band spectrum analysis in addition to all the Wi-Fi radios that are in there. And then if you don't need it, you can just unplug it. It's just plug and play. You can pop it in at any point, and it'll capture that spectrum data. Other thing that's kind of cool about this is there's no license that's associated with the spectrum piece of this. It just works with your regular on-site license. So that means you could buy one of these for the team and share it, if you have budget constraints or anything there where you can't outfit maybe a whole team with it. So has some flexibility there. But yeah, nice and portable, keep it in your bag kind of thing.
Absolutely. And like I think the big deal is what people don't realize is even without the spectrum analyzer, you can analyze the spectrum as follows. So you can see how utilized all the channels are. And I was asking Wes for help about this as well. So you can see the utilization of each channel actually sometimes more clearly than from the spectrum analyzer. You can see the percentage utilization. You can see how many clients are on each AP, each radio, each channel, this kind of thing. So I would say if you're a CWNE, you will probably always have the spectrum analyzer with you when you need it. But in most cases, even what you get out of the kind of standard Wi-Fi adapters is plentiful and sometimes even easier to read than the spectrum analysis data. So you can get a wealth of data even without the dongle, and that's one of the things we've been pushing quite a bit lately. Do I have something here as well? If I go to here and then we take and obviously like when you do the surveys, then the same survey data is also reflected on your planner app automatically, and you saw how long it took to load, like a few seconds, and then you have hours and hours of survey data in here. Hold on, Wes, you were just at an event as well, and you were using the Hamina gear, right? Found anything interesting?
Yeah, certainly interesting. I think and Jerry was there as well. And yeah, I think one takeaway is interference in 6 gig, and it is possible to completely saturate 6 gig as well with Wi-Fi usage.
Yeah, if you want, I can show an example of one of the things that we did discover. Yeah, both 5 and 6 gigahertz. This was actually the first event I was helping support that had interferers on both 5 and 6 gigahertz. Let me share my screen here. One of the spots that we saw something was, so first we got some alerts. So just to kind of walk you through kind of the workflow that we took on this that worked out well for us was we were monitoring the event, supporting the event, and then we would get alerts from like the access points themselves saying that they were detecting interference. And that would help kind of guide us to, hey, we need to go look for these interferers, see what it is that's actually interfering, because the APs don't necessarily tell you, what the source of that interference is or how far reaching it is. It's just, gives you some indication of maybe what part of the building we need to focus in on. So we use that as kind of help with some of the guidance. But yeah, if we take a look like starting here, I'll let you guys see if you can figure out where the interfere was, but I was looking at this. Obviously, this is now looking at it in post as far as this is looking at after I already captured the survey data, but I started out by looking at it on like the real-time spectrum analysis on the Hamina Onsite app. But the cool part is now with this ability to record the spectrum, we can now replay the survey and actually see that interfere. And this made it really easy for me. I'll see if you guys can figure out where the interfere is. But I started out, kind of in this area here, and then kind of walked around and see let's see if anybody in chat can figure out which channels are being impacted by this interfere. I've got the
That's
full
pretty
spectrum
strong
showing.
and consistent, isn't it?
Yep.
It's incredibly consistent across different areas. Like Wi-Fi kind of comes and goes, but the interferer remains.
Well, and notice the interfere. So I went down this way first. I'm like, is it this direction? Where's that source of that signal coming from? I could still pick it up a little bit, but I could see I was getting to the edge of that where it wasn't too audible. And then it came back down the hallway here. And then we can see as we start getting to kind of this area, starts getting louder and louder. And then I'm like, okay, I started going down this way and then noticed it was getting a little bit weaker. So it started kind of coming back. And I knew I was getting kind of like, hot, cold kind of thing. And then I come back this way and let's see, did the chat pick it up at all?
Yeah, they did. They're guessing motion detector, channel 165.
165 is correct. So 161 and 165. Notice where there's no Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
That's a good indication, because often we'll look and be like, why are the APs making these bad choices, right? Why are they not using these channels? And without like a spectrum analyzer, we're kind of a bit in the dark, right, with some of that. So this was pretty clear of, okay, the APs were actually making intelligent decisions here and avoiding these channels. Yeah, what was causing all this interference? So it was not a motion detector, I can tell you that.
Wireless video transmitter in the meeting room was
Yes.
another answer.
Video transmission is correct. So I'll show you what it is. Any guesses of the actual video transmitter? Is anybody familiar with those video transmitters? Because these are
I'm
pretty
guessing it's Jeri's live influencer stream using some proprietary technology, but you can't help it with your TikTok.
Right. They're always following me.
Oh yeah, it's the paparazzis.
That's right. That's right. I can't get away from them. Let me find the
Just
photo.
don't get in a black S-Class Mercedes like some public figure did back in the day.
So here was the culprit. So that was the transmitter that was pumping out all that energy, and it was sending it to. This was the receiver here. So you can see that there. So that's a Teradek, pretty popular amongst like professional studio type stuff. But yeah, there was multiple of those they were using throughout the event. The cool part about it, and this is where, we had a webinar recently talking about spectrum analysis, but what I found that was kind of eye-opening to me and kind of changed my tune on that topic was, okay, so there's some interference, we can't do anything about it other than avoid the channels. That actually wasn't true at all in this case. We could actually do something about it, and we did. We didn't just say, hey, you got to turn that off, but we actually worked with the team that was running that equipment and said, hey, this is interfering with the Wi-Fi. Is there something we can do to reconfigure this? And they were very smart about the equipment. They understood how it worked. They're like, oh yeah, we can adjust the channel width. We can reduce it from 40 to 20. We can put it on a different channel. And they were able to put it on a channel that was up above Wi-Fi. And I could see that all happening in real time on the spectrum analysis, to the point where we were able to pretty much completely mitigate that interfere from interfering with the Wi-Fi. Just to show you, I guess, one last thing on that. Oh, you're sharing your screen now.
You stopped sharing, so I couldn't.
It was just a photo that shows the spectrum, how it went from using that 40 megahertz channel down to a 20 megahertz channel. If you want, I'll show it real quick. So here it is. Zoomed in. This is using now the mobile application piece of it. So this is using Hamina Onsite. So this is what I was seeing in the real-time view. So you can see that 40 megahertz wide channel and how it's impacting that, and just kind of zooming out a little bit so you can see the Wi-Fi channels there as well. And then what I ended up doing was have them reconfigure it, and they'll reconfigure it down to 20 megahertz here. And then we also got them to move it up in frequency. So it's still bumping into 165 a little bit, but completely kind of frees up 161. And this is me like sitting right on top of the transmitter. So obviously, as I go away from the transmitter or where the APs would be, this would at least make those channels be usable throughout the, most of the building now.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So next up, next topic. So we talked about site survey, but I think we also like grew the lead in planning and especially with the AI stuff. Jiri, have you used the AI stuff at all in your line of work?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, wall detection, that's a massive time saver. So whenever you just want to kind of show a 3D view of a building, import the CAD file, and then you pretty much get a nice building in 3D, including the walls. So yeah, we've done that. And the part I really enjoy is you pretty much can keep your single source of truth in Hamina, and from there you can then export. So you can say, this is my design, reviewed, approved. Let's export the BOM. Let's order the kit, get the kit delivered, labeled, staged, deployed.
Yes.
And at some point you just hit export, which means the planner basically tells your dashboard to claim the right number of APs, name them, place them, upload the floor plan, place the APs for you. So yeah, that's what UC is doing there. So
Yeah.
you can very much keep your design here, draw your walls, place your APs, name your APs. Any changes you can apply here, and then when you're ready, you can just hit export, which pretty much pushes all the placement, all the floor plans, all the APs to your management tool.
And what's gonna speed up your work is there's a new automatic planner. Like people love to badmouth auto planner. All I've done now is kind of drag in a low quality JPEG, like an advertisement picture of this building. AI kind of figured it out and automatically drew the walls and stuff. But what I really am excited about is the new auto planner. So it takes a second roughly to calculate, and look at the result of this thing. Like that's not bad. I think like it's still a bit conservative on the amount of APs, but look at the results completely untouched. To me, this isn't bad. It's about every other room. I might add a couple of APs, but that's it. Like for carpeted spaces, never use it in warehouses, factories, outdoors, this kind of stuff. But I think for carpeted spaces, the new auto planner, like it takes a friggin' second to calculate. And this is coming up very soon. So just let's do another plan from scratch. There we go. It's not bad, and it's every time it's slightly different as well, and it optimizes your channel widths, and it optimizes your channels and stuff like that. Something to look forward to for very early 2026 as well.
Yeah, basically what I'm noticing with it is in the past using other auto planners, there's usually a lot of manual manipulation that's usually needed of kind of nudge this AP here, nudge this AP there, and you've got to basically kind of go through and like touch every access point to get them into like realistic locations where the new kind of algorithms there, being that it understands the floor plans, understands what things are like elevators and rooms and stairs and things like that. It makes much more intelligent decisions about where to actually place those APs. It actually does a nice job where I have to touch, maybe just one or two APs out of 20 instead of having to touch 18 out of the 20 APs.
Exactly. And I vividly remember we had this discussion in WICO France conference. Troy Martin was presenting before me. He just moved to Ekahau, and then I presented and I showed the auto planner to the audience, and I just said like, you shouldn't really use auto planner outside of carpeted spaces and stuff like that. And then I said, Troy, would you agree? And like you know that no auto planner is perfect. Troy said, yeah, no auto planner is perfect, but Eka House is slightly better than yours. Or he said ours is slightly better than yours. So he meant Eka House is slightly better than Hamina's. But I think we're kind of switching that mindset here as well. But it's up to you guys to try it out. This will be out very soon, and I look forward to. But yeah, again, don't use it in warehouses, factories, things like that. That's later on. That's where AI still doesn't have a chance to a human being, if that's fair.
Just on that, you say if I can chip in, the one feature I really like is if you have a directional antenna AP and you put it close enough to a wall or onto a wall, it doesn't put it in the wrong orientation on the wall. It kind of does the orientation you would expect by default. There's no kind of moving the arrow.
So think like 9166D1, which is obviously directional. If we put it on the wall here, it points to the right direction. If you put it on the wall here, it also, I agree, like little things like that. And I think we created that in front of the audience when there was some kind of Hamina training going on at WLPC. Our software architects were in the back, sitting in the back, and somebody mentioned that, and then 1 hour later they had it in production. So what else happened with us? Like we did a lot of new stuff, I guess, as well. We did the live view, Hamina live view, and we added a bunch of new supported system. For Jiri, I have to say we started supporting Cisco Catalyst Center, and for Wes's benefit, we started supporting Aruba News Central. And together with Wes, we also added more and more capabilities to the Mist integration. Much appreciate Wes's help on that. We also integrated with Orb as well, which is the kind of internet quality testing system, which I'm also running here on my laptop at the moment. And the Orb is then connected, like if you have your Juniper or Meraki or Catalyst Center or Aruba system connected to Hamina Live, that's an additional integration that you can plug in as well. And what I'm gonna do real quickly is we'll get out of this Hamina shenanigans in a bit. Bear with me. But what I'm going to do is let's look at our office, and here's kind of the plan. By the way, we also added ultra wideband planning and things of that nature as well last year. Thank you, Jiri and the Cisco team, for all the assistance, as well as the POSIX team who do ultra wideband. But if I click live, this is now real time coverage of this site, for example. And then let's say I wanted to troubleshoot. There's this Jussi guy who keeps having internet problems all the time. So I would just search for his MacBook here. And again, this is live coverage. We're looking at live channel utilization, stuff like that, and live clients. So this is my client, and this is my internet score right now of this client live. So how good is the internet for the client? And as I click the client, you can see the room I'm in, which is actually this friggin' room. You can even see the oh yeah, there's used to be a couch here, not anymore. So we need to update the floor plan. But you can see how my client is doing right now. And we did this with Jerry yesterday. Let's see if we can reproduce the same. So look at my client statistics. I'm there, right? Look at my client statistics, and I'll start walking around. Observe my signal strength as I close the door. First of all, the signal strength drops.
Let's see how smooth the roaming experience is there. This is the ultimate roaming
look
experience
at the roaming, man. Now my signal went way too low. So I roamed. My orb score also dropped because my signal dropped, and then like you can probably see that too from my video and stuff. Now I'm getting
to Zoom's credit, like the video is almost perfectly smooth. There's maybe a couple of drop frames, but your audio and everything it sounds great. I'm impressed.
Yeah, this is also a credit to Joel Crane who master engineered the network here. Using I think Wes's gear. So here we go. Let's see if we can make the client roam again. I'm dropping it on the floor. There we go. So it roamed again. You can see it moving on the map, and we can also see. Yeah.
What of this information? So you've got two data streams, right? You've got the Orb data stream, and what is this? Juniper or?
You're on the webinar. Sorry about that.
Which
If it's going well, it's Juniper. If not, it's something else.
So you're getting some of this data from the infrastructure, and then you're getting some data from Orb. What stuff is coming from the infrastructure? What stuff's coming from Orb?
Correct. And by the way, I roamed again. I don't know about that, but I'm getting a lot of background noise from the guys who have a game night apparently here. I don't know which they have more, like playing cards or bottles here, but I like the ratio. Okay, I'm out of here. Either way. So yeah, there's two data streams indeed. I like, Jerry, that you pointed it out. And by the way, the roaming man will likely roam now when I get to the. There we go. And it got us back to the room. So we have two data streams, all of the above streams. So signal, data rate, roaming, all these graphs come from Juniper Mist in this case. So it comes from the infrastructure. And then the lag metrics and the orb score comes from the orb integration. And then kind of all of these capabilities, or like these metrics here below, come from Juniper Mist, and then we can kick out the client, and we can also go to Wes's dashboard, to Juniper Mist dashboard here. And this is a new feature. I have never even seen this before. I think it went to production today. So we can also open the client metrics in Orb Cloud, and we can open the client metrics in the vendor dashboard as well. I think Meraki, Juniper, all of that kind of stuff. And if you're logged in, it takes you to the perfect place. So that is the Hamina Live, and this is a testament to Hamina's strategy, where like these tools assist the network vendors like Meraki, Catalyst, or like Cisco and Juniper and HPE in kind of visualizing the network, whether you're simulating it, surveying it, or looking at it live. Okay. So enough of that. I'll just leave this Hamina ad with the last statement on how serious are you about your data. I may have said this before. I'm going to say it again. Hamina is the only Wi-Fi design tool that's ISO 27000. No other tool is. We're also the only tool that's SOC 2 Type 2. So we take your data, we take your privacy, we take your like. We'd like to have your trust, and this is kind of a testament of that. We've spent endless hours, endless days, endless years in kind of getting us to the level where we hope that we're worth your trust, and that your compliance team will love these things as you move your Wi-Fi design tools to the cloud. Last thing, I'd like to thank Jiri and Wes, Cisco, HPE, Juniper, for working together with us on the vendor APIs, kind of improving the APIs, and in general, making a lot of our capabilities possible. With that, already at, I'm not surprised, but I'm a little bit, at 30 minutes above the hour, we are getting to the beef of the webinar. We had a 30-minute ad break here. But yeah, Wi-Fi 7 and 6 gigahertz. So let's talk Wi-Fi 7 first. What about Wi-Fi 7, excluding 6 gigahertz? What about Wi-Fi 7 was promised, and what has been materialized by the end of 2025? Tough question, and the answer goes to Brejcha. Correction, Purvis, because he unmuted first.
There you go. I think so. From my side, my perspective, in 2025, we have Wi-Fi 7 APs that are deployable. You can deploy with Wi-Fi 7. You may not turn on all the Wi-Fi 7 features, for both security and big ticket items like MLO, but you can at least deploy the APs, and you'll see, potentially see, the Wi-Fi 7 data rates, and so it's kind of mass deployments of Wi-Fi 7 is my takeaway from 2025. I don't think that we've gotten into the benefits necessarily that's coming from Wi-Fi 7. I think that's a 2026 activity to kind of quantify MLO at scale and that kind of stuff.
Jiri, what do you think? Are you going to at least say 4096 QAM? What do you think?
No, I mean, I was going to say, I wish I unmuted first. And to be honest, to a degree, I think we would agree that the actual Wi-Fi 7 product gives you as many kind of vendor-specific features as it gives you Wi-Fi 7 features. So yeah, I mean, from Cisco's perspective, we have pretty much complete portfolio at this point. So yeah, that's basically a small Wi-Fi 7 AP, medium, high-end, premium, large public venue AP. There's a wall plate AP as well, so you can get Wi-Fi 7 and wired ports at the same time. But yeah, I would say I'm as excited about Wi-Fi 7 as I am about the Cisco features in these. So yeah, name it ultra wideband, um, the large public venue AP that has amazing features when it comes to actual deployment and the actual practical part. It makes it really easy. And yeah, I
What
mean,
about
you heard
what
about.
about what about QAM? For 4096 QAM, we're seeing now some of that in the wild, right? So we're getting higher modulations. Close to the AP, we're getting higher data rates, especially if you're beaming the signal right down to the client. How
Yeah,
does
I would
that
say
all pan out?
4K QAM is hard to achieve. To be completely frank, it's yeah, you literally need to be on the AP, below the AP, depending on the ceiling height.
Yeah,
So yeah, I would say that's typically not the feature I would kind of heavily promote and talk about it simply because it's hard to achieve. And from the kind of user's perspective, I guess the first thing is you can't really tell if you are using 4K QAM or not. But the thing is, it's very hard to do. So when I tested this, I literally had to be like a meter and a half between the client and the AP, which I guess changes when you put the device next to your head and you add a few more dB. So
yeah, it's
yeah,
hard.
I would say the product is as exciting as the Wi-Fi 7 features. So from Cisco perspective, we had Meraki portfolio, Catalyst portfolio, and they pretty much have been the same hardware for quite a few years now. So with Wi-Fi 7, you pretty much buy the same access point, same switch, and you can pretty much convert it between one management mode or the other, which is nice. I mentioned ultra wideband, so there's few use cases, and we can touch on that later on this webinar.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
AP auto-locate we can do using the Wi-Fi radios, which to an extent is disruptive to Wi-Fi when we do the actual ranging. So with the ultra wideband radio, we can pretty much leverage the ultra wideband, get more kind of precise location of the EPs with no disruption to Wi-Fi, which is quite nice.
So,
So
so
yeah,
i-
that's
is it fair to say that like Wi-Fi 7 is where Wi-Fi 6E comes to be mature, like because we already saw 6 gigahertz in Wi-Fi 6E.
yeah. Or you could kind of take it from a Wi-Fi 6E customers or deployment perspective. If I have 6E today, is that a compelling enough reason for me? If I have 6 gigahertz enabled, WP3 enabled, happy 6E network, lots of 6 gigahertz clients, is that a compelling reason to kind of go and replace all of these APs? And I mean, if you happen to be a large venue, it takes quite a lot of money to get to an access point, which is 10,
Yeah,
15 meters high. So yeah, the answer might well be no, or not yet. And perhaps, yeah, in a couple of years, whatever comes next, if that's compelling enough, maybe at that point. But yeah, I would say six gigahertz is I know you said except for 6 gigahertz, but yeah.
You see, I would say, when we went through our Wi-Fi 6E journey, there's a lot of kind of unknowns in terms of, there's a lot of channels here, and our client's going to be able to discover these channels. There's new security. Our client's going to be able to use
yeah,
this new security. With the amount of channels, are we going to be able to roam? And largely stuff, kind of worked out of the gate, but it took some time. It took a couple of years, for one, all of the client devices to come out. Android, Windows, Apple. Um,
yep,
for us to really understand device behavior. But after 2 or 3 years, it's like, yeah, we feel really good about Wi-Fi 6E and how it behaves and the client devices. Um, and to your point, I kind of think that's, we're in that same journey on Wi-Fi 7, where there's new features, there's new security. We already have 6 gig band, but it will take some time to kind of get to the comfort level of with Wi-Fi 7 that we have, or not comfort level, but the the confidence, or with that, yeah, MLO is actually behaving how we expect it to behave. And that will come, but just like it took us a little bit of time as an industry to get there with Wi-Fi 6E and 6 gigahertz, it'll also take a little bit of time to get there with Wi-Fi
Yeah.
7 and some of the features in Wi-Fi 7.
Absolutely. And that was the same like when AX or Wi-Fi 6 without the E APs came out. In a lot of cases, we still had to fall back to AC or Wi-Fi 5, even with the new APs, because there was compatibility stuff and all of that. So it's always this like gradual journey where the technology comes out first, and then we kind of, iron out the kinks a little bit. Have you guys seen, so Apple, not that I would have the new phone. Many of our employees like Jerry do, but I do not. I'm just saying. Just saying. So Apple came out with a new chip on the new, at least the iPhone Pros, right? The Apple Wi-Fi chip. Have we seen anything? And that's Wi-Fi 7. Have we seen anything like any quirks, any differences to the behavior of the iPhones compared to previous ones? Because I haven't heard any complaints about it, and that's a pretty big deal if you release an all new chip architecture from an all new chip vendor, almost like.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple. I actually tested all of the iPhone 17s, literally one by one. So
Yeah.
as far as I could tell, they all share the same chip. So if you buy the 17 Air, 17 Pro, standard 17, they basically have the same Wi-Fi capability
Even
from that
6 gigahertz. Do
perspective.
they all have 6 gigahertz?
They all do 6 gigahertz,
Oh
same
wow.
chip,
Okay. Okay.
same, as far as I could tell, by profiling them, same capability across the board. So I guess with the 15 Pro, for example, you had to buy a Pro phone to get Wi-Fi 6E and 6 gigahertz. The
That's right.
standard iPhone 15 was just dual band. So yeah, I think that's a major step forward. And I was kind of looking for things and what doesn't work and where is the problem. There was no problem, to be
Yeah,
honest,
it's
which is
incredible
quite
how well
nice.
Apple executes this. Same when the M series, like when they changed the processor architecture to their own. Like from M1, like first day of N1, like it was like aside from some niche cases, it was amazingly flawless. And rumor has it, Jiri, that you were testing this in an you were testing the new devices in an Apple store. Is that
What
correct?
was I? No, I mean, thank you, Apple Store employees for allowing me to. But yeah, that was the easiest way when they came out. I just picked a quiet time. I didn't want to disturb all the people who wanted to touch it and take a selfie with with the latest iPhone. So
Dude,
yeah, that
if
worked
we
really
had a
really
live
well.
audience,
And
that would deserve an applause. Like you're doing something for the community by going to an Apple store and like, yeah, putting
but
yourself.
no, it was good. I was genuinely curious. So the only difference, long story short, is compared to the previous gen. With the previous gen, if you switch to low power mode, they would basically shut one of the radio chains, and the client would, or the iPhone would switch to single spatial stream, pretty much one by one.
Yeah,
With the N1 iPhones, so pretty much all the iPhone 17 as well as the Air, they stay in 2 by 2 mode, which is quite interesting. And I know someone else tested it as well. I was kind of curious if it was software related or if that was just the default behavior in the first iOS 26. But it basically stays in 2 by 2. So the beauty is that regardless of the low power mode, standard power mode, it basically
yeah,
still is a 2 by 2 two spatial stream client. So you don't see any kind of change of client capability along the way.
perfect, perfect. And Jerry actually posted a link to your blog, Jerry, on the
Oh,
chat.
thanks.
Wes, you have been along the years, you had these different kind of statistics on where is Wi-Fi today. Do you have anything to share of the cuff on like where we are right now, and where we've been, how we've gotten to this point with regards to Wi-Fi 7 and especially 6 gigahertz?
Yeah, sure. Um, so I have a slide. I put a slide in. So
I have a slide with four numbers.
yeah,
You don't realize that it's not a slide on this. It has a lot of PowerPoints and transitions and stuff like that.
I don't really like to make slides, so this is a big
I
step
know.
for me.
You're amazing, man.
Copy and pasting a screenshot onto something. Um, so, since in the year of 2025, we saw deployments, I think for, really the first time in bulk, where there's more 6 gigahertz clients than there are 5 gig clients on the network. So this
Wow.
is a you know there's not a lot of not a lot of numbers, so I'll explain them quickly, right? Total clients and then clients per band. So
Industry. What vertical is this?
this was this is a enterprise office um, customer. So
Okay. Fairly
in
high
the
end, I would assume.
yeah. I mean, I think what we're seeing, the trend that we're seeing is in enough time has passed, and so in environments with corporate issued devices, we have gone through refresh now. Through, it's been 3 years, 4 years, 6 gig, and a lot of times we'll see, 60, 70% 6 gig clients on the network in those types of environments. In like a more like bring your own device type of environment, like in higher ed or even in like retail where 6 gig is turned on in guest. Um, we're seeing in the 40 to 50% this year. Last year it was 20 to 30%. This year it's 40 to 50%. So I think, the second one is like 41% 6 gig. And here's another example where over the last 2 weeks, this network had about 110,000 unique clients on it. Um, and this is the breakdown by band of where we've actually seen clients connect. So, obviously
So it's true connections, not
yeah,
capability.
yeah. So, 62,000 on 5 gig only, but 44,000 on 5 and 6, and 2,500 on 6 gig only. So that comes out to be like 43%-ish on 6 gig capable devices, which was really, it's just we're trending upwards.
So let me ask you this. This network, was it partially 5 and partially 5 and 6, or was it all APs were 6 gigahertz capable?
That's right. This particular network did not have 100% 6 gig coverage.
That's what it looks like from here.
Yeah,
Because there's too many on 5+6 to be, because I would think that the clients heavily prefer 6
yeah,
whenever possible, even at the lower signal strength.
yeah. So I think in this year we've really seen a kind of we're in the hot, I would say a hockey stick in terms of
Yeah.
6 gigahertz capable clients. Like if
It's
we
like
compare
Hamina's revenue.
nice. Uh, if we compare to like Wi-Fi 7, Wi-Fi 7 is still in the 5 to 10% range, client adoption. And so
Yeah.
Wi-Fi 7 will get to this point, in 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah, got it. Jerry, any real talk surrounding Wi-Fi 7 or 6 gigahertz?
Real talk around Wi-Fi 7 or 6 gigahertz. I mean, I think the real talk is I'll see if Wes and Jiri still agree with this, but I think maybe it was Wes. I don't remember who said it originally, but I've found this to be true is that your best 6 gigahertz capable AP. Well, one, I guess first is that we kind of already talked about this, but I still think 6 gigahertz is the best feature of Wi-Fi 7, even though that's not technically Wi-Fi 7. I still think that's the best feature of it. And on top of that, let's see, this is the part I want to see if Wes and Jiri agree with is your best 6 gigahertz capable APs are your Wi-Fi 7 APs. Does that make sense?
So I would 100% agree with that. I think not only just like the spec bump, right? But in terms of your CPU and your memory and newer generation chip, but as Jerry kind of alluded to, most of the vendors have put in special extra things in the Wi-Fi 7 generation that haven't existed in the earlier generations. Whether it's UWB or APs with built-in directional antennas, you more deployment options flexibility and Wi-Fi 7, more capabilities than you've had before outside of the standard.
Very good. Any
I
other
have one more
slides?
thing to show you, see,
Yeah, man.
and this is my favorite one, which is so these APs are cranking, right? They have 100 or more clients on them, and so first of all, like in a 5 gig only world, there would have been 100 clients on 5 gig, right? But now, okay, 95 clients on this AP, 46 on 5, 49 on 6, right? So you have, you know, fewer clients per radio, which is really good. But, this AP has 100 clients on it. In aggregate, it's pumping out over 600 megabits per second of throughput, which is it's mind-boggling. Now, granted, this is 80 megahertz channel on 6 gig, but still 100 clients on the AP, 50 of those on 6 gig. Still getting 100 meg, like, in previous generations of APs and even without 6 gig, like, could you imagine this? And there happens to be, 10,000 clients in this environment. So it's a, Jerry, to your point of, yeah, your most capable, uh, you know, AP is the Wi-Fi 7 AP. I think this is the proof, and I think this is really where the 6 gig comes in. Now, not everywhere do you have the luxury of, necessarily leveraging 80 megahertz channels in 6 gig. But I think even in Europe where you have 500 megahertz or 480 and basically equal 5 and 6 gig, you'll still benefit, from just having fewer clients, more radios, so fewer clients per radio, more radios, and just kind of bringing up the capacity and throughput that you can get out of your Wi-Fi network.
And by bit rate, you mean net throughput,
This is the good
or
put.
an average of data rates?
This
Which
is
one
good.
is
This
it?
is actual good put through the AP.
Wow.
Yep.
That's very cool.
Yep.
Jer Bear, any real talk?
I think the other place my mind goes, and maybe this is just the wrong way to even be looking at that these days, but I remember when we went from 2.4 to 5 gigahertz, one of the challenges with these like dual radio APs back then, right, supporting 2 and 5, is like when we started seeing antennas that were dual band antennas, the antennas weren't very optimal for 5 gigahertz initially, right? It took some time before they got all the bugs or whatever, the tuning right in the antennas to make them, or maybe just at that time, still we were so heavy in 2.4 that they were focused more on the 2.4 than they were on the 5. I don't know the exact reasons for that, but it took some time before we started seeing some really good performance out of the antennas, that almost was like better for 5 gigahertz than it was 2.4, or at least equally as good on both bands. Have you guys seen any of that kind of stuff now that we're going to the tri-band? That was some of my initial concerns, is like, okay, we've got these antennas that now need to support a huge frequency range. So I'm wondering, like, going from like a Wi-Fi 6E AP, our first APs with supporting 6 gigahertz, have we seen any better like RF performance in like the Wi-Fi 7 APs,
Yeah,
or does that
or
not really matter?
filtering,
Yeah,
filtering
yeah,
as
true.
well.
Yeah, I mean, from AP side, um, well, okay, so now there's 3 bands that the idea is, you want your coverage pattern to be as similar as possible between the bands, right? And even between your AP models. Uh, um, and so that's, it's an art form because it's not always perfect. And, even like, in most APs today, you'll find dual band 2.45 plus dedicated 6 antennas. Now, if the AP is capable of, flexible radios, then you might start to see some combinations. But, in effect, you would have separate set of antennas for 5 and 6, at the most basic level. And so anytime that you have different set of antennas, the placement of the antennas is different and can affect the pattern. There may be a shadow of reflection. Um, and so, and then leveraging kind of a tri-band antenna where you have, like different parts of the antenna are tuned for different frequencies. So it's certainly a challenge, but I think something that has gotten better over the years. And so I think if you look at most major vendors, you'll see pretty similar coverage, between the bands, at least between 5 and 6.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Jiri.
agreed. And just to give you an example, I've just found if I just borrow the screen share, hopefully you can see it in a second. Yeah, just to give you an idea, these are the elements inside some of these Cisco APs. So yeah, you can see the dedicated 6 gigahertz antennas. There's ultra wideband, there's BLE, there's GNSS. There's lots of dedicated elements just to BLE as well. So yeah, there's just loads that goes into the APs. And if you, for example, look even at the large public venue AP, there's basically a whole antenna array, which basically just gives you the option to switch between different patterns. So you can say I prefer narrow or I want wide. There's even a antenna on the front, antenna on the back. So for example, when you deploy the AP pointing straight down, there's still a very good chance you get strong GPS signal, and the AP can figure out if it's a standard power AP, it can figure out the location using GPS. Simply
Yeah,
because
thanks a lot. Thanks
there's
a lot, Jiri, for that. We had to work endless hours to support that in our planning tool, and all the freaking configurations and tilts and like
I
you
mean,
know.
you've done a great job. So thanks to everyone on the Hamina team. I know I've been emailing you and asking, is this AP there? And is this kind of option there? And I mean, with the large public venue AP, you can take it and deploy it at this orientation, that orientation, pretty much
Yeah,
any
yeah.
angle, wide, narrow. So
Hats
yeah, there
off to
are loads
Joel.
of
Hats off,
and
sorry,
Joel,
hats off
yeah,
to Joel and Andrew and Timo Dr.
absolutely.
Van Hatup on the science team. Andrew has risen from the flu. McHale, you have a hand raised.
Yeah, just a couple of questions in chat that I thought I'd throw out at you guys as we wrap up here because
Oh, we're not getting wrapped up, man. We're going seriously over time. Let's at least try
okay.
to expand on the antenna discussion. But please go, Andrew. This is a good place.
In
If
case some of these
Jiri
people need to
and Wes
leave on
can
the hour.
go slightly over, we could go like 15 minutes over. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll get your overtime paycheck in the non-existent mail somewhere. I don't know.
Just aware that some people may need to leave on time, especially
Yeah.
if this is maybe one of their first. Jesus asks, how much difference is there between the different radio chipsets that the vendors are using? So that's quite a good question. We have two different vendors on to answer that.
And let's start with the basics, like who are the major chipset vendors for enterprise APs? That's Broadcom and Qualcomm, right? And then who wants to take the diplomatic answer first?
It's all good. That's my answer.
Nothing wrong with either one.
Yeah,
It
so
is.
there's two vendors,
I mean,
right? You have Broadcom, Qualcomm, MediaTek trying to break in. It just so happens that our two vendors use the two major the two vendors out there. And there's kind of pros and cons of each, but I think largely they all get the job done. And you'll see your client is connecting and doing what it needs.
yeah, I would say from a user's perspective, or I guess even from vendor's perspective, you probably kind of put your eggs in the preferred basket, and you kind of stick to that ecosystem as far as I can tell, so that you can pretty much kind of improve on that, and you can kind of build a strong, stable platform. So yeah, from Cisco's perspective, that's kind of the direction I'm seeing. I guess if you look at Apple, they use Broadcom in the iPhones, for example, as well as in the other Apple devices. They build their own N1 chip. So I guess that's another direction. Possibly if you kind of turn out enough client devices, build your own silicon, and kind of improve on that, which I guess many vendors do, switching silicon, including Cisco. I mean, Cisco built their own RF ASIC and all those kind of solutions. So yeah, I mean, there's value. I guess at the end of the day, it's kind of picking whatever works best for you, whatever delivers the outcome, and I guess you then add your features on top. And what is the underlying chipset? I mean, we usually don't talk a huge amount about the underlying chipset, simply because that it doesn't really matter that much to the customer or to the actual user. So that's probably the reason. But as Wax mentioned, pick whatever works best for you, and I guess stick to that platform, make it nice and stable, and build a great product around it.
And
it's usually
I
the
guess
productization that you care about, right? The the management capabilities, the ease of use, and troubleshooting capabilities, and does the AP model fit your fit your need, like rather than getting into the low level chipset, because at the end of the day, the specs are actually very similar. They're following Wi-Fi, um, IEEE kind of stuff, and so that's does the system do what I need it to do?
Nice. Even the PoE circuitry, for example. So when we make the APs, we're kind of thinking, well, not every customer will go and deploy BT switches or UPoE switches. So what are the different power modes we want to support, and we can support within the 30-watt standard and within the whatever 60-watt standard. I mean, I say 30 watts and 60 watts, but if you actually go and measure, you take one of the most powerful APs, and you pretty much go and power them by 8023BT 60-watt standard. You have all those great switches deployed. You will actually see the AP drawing about 17, 18, so that's 16, 17, 18 watts of power during a normal operation. Obviously, depending on how many radios you've got enabled, might be slightly different. So when we kind of ask you, yes, we recommend BT power source. That's one thing, but when you go and measure how much on average the AP draws, it's probably below 20 watts or so. So I guess that's the other aspect. So we can try to focus on that and looking at what we can do. And we also give you the option, so you can say, I don't need my 2.4 gigahertz radio in 4x4 mode. I'm happy with 2x2. So you can kind of make that less capable, but then keep your 5 gig and 6 gig in 4x4, for example.
That's actually the whole power thing has always puzzled me. Like, how quickly do people actually switch their switches? And this is maybe a question for Wes, maybe for the future. Like, do you know what percentage of your APs are running on low power mode? Let's say out of the 6 gigahertz APs, for example, or like.
Yep. So it's probably half.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it is very, very significant. I would
It's
have thought it's
probably
lower.
half of, this is a AT capable switch versus BT capable switch, and probably, half of our, 6 gigahertz capable APs are running on AT switches.
Yeah. Okay. That's super fascinating. So it means they typically cut down the streams from 4 to 2. They might even lose a radio. What's the typical?
It depends on what's configured, what's enabled, and there will be some reduction, or maybe not. It just depends on what's enabled.
Yep. So how do you see the switch versus AP refresh cycle nowadays, now that we have 6 gigahertz and we have significantly more power draw requirements than before, and it's actually very justifiable to upgrade your switches? What is how often do people also go for the switch refresh when they refresh the APs, when they go 6 gig?
We'd always recommend, but sometimes, a lot of times, it's just not in the cards, whether it's a different team, different budget, wasn't budgeted for, whatever it may be. And so it's important to kind of, there can be benefits to fully powering the AP and, potentially connecting to an MGA capable switch, but doesn't necessarily prevent you from refreshing or upgrading your APs.
Exactly.
To take advantage of 6 gigahertz or Wi-Fi 7. Most of the APs still out there operate on 1 gig AT power.
Yeah, exactly. And you still, even on lower power, you still get that clean 6 gigahertz spectrum, which is the big deal here. Is that what you're seeing, Jiri, as well?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you can choose on the Cisco APs or the Cisco wireless APs. You then choose the management mode, be it cloud or controller and capital center. You can basically choose the power profile. So you can say, I don't need 10 gig Ethernet interface downshift to whatever 2.5 gig, for example. 2.4 radio. I'm actually going to disable it anyway, and perhaps a large venue or very kind of dense environment. So I actually don't need that. Shut that down. Save power. So that part I actually quite like. You can I guess save power. You disable whatever you don't need, which gives you pretty much full power for the rest of the AP or the platform, which is quite nice. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say it's quite easy. You ask about the switching refresh. So I would say whenever you have a customers moving offices, that's an easy discussion. Pretty much all the hardware has to be purchased anyway. So there's no reason to buy just PoE Plus and not kind of BT switches. New warehouses, new venues, again, easy discussion relatively. Why would you buy kind of previous gen if you can buy the latest? But yeah, even with PoE Plus, to be completely frank, you can do loads. So if the switches are not easily accessible, or if it costs loads of money to replace those switches for any reasons, with PoE Plus you can still do a lot and kind of plan the switching upgrade for whenever you can.
So let's talk about the other big thing that we've started to see in 23, 24, 25 quickly, which is I'll let everybody go. The audience and you guys saw on Jiri is already like, hey guys, this was supposed to be an hour. Bear with me, Jiri. These flexible radio APs, we started by flexing from 2.4 to dual 5, but now what we're seeing is like more and more configurability on the flexible radios, and not just that, but different kinds of antennas. We have directional antenna, more and more like internal directional antenna APs. Cisco has the D1, which is typically, I guess, wall mount. Mist has the 47D, which is down tilt omni, like heavily down tilt omni. Then you guys have the stadium antennas. Like where are we today, and where the heck are we going? Like from the Wi-Fi planning tool manufacturing perspective, it's definitely getting interesting. And we of course appreciate the partnership with you guys, so that we've been able to make the design tools for that.
Yeah, check out the 66D. The it's a uh from a regulatory perspective, right? I think there's a couple of things driving this kind of directional antennas built into the AP. So from a regulatory perspective, in many countries around the world, not all, to leverage external antennas, you need in 6 gigahertz. There are special rules, right? In the US, we have standard power. Same thing in Canada, and there are countries around the world that follow US and Canada rules. In Europe, you can use external antennas in the low power 6K mode, but it just from a regulatory standpoint, it's a lot simpler if the antenna is built into the AP.
Yeah.
And then it kind of gives a little bit of ease in terms of installation and typically a little bit lower cost from everything. But we've really, like, our perspective is kind of going all in on this APs with built-in directional antenna. Like I'm at a customer today. APs are mounted at like 26 feet, whatever that is in meters, 7.9 meters.
Yeah.
And so we're doing, comparison between AP47, which is Omni, AP47D, which has the built-in directional 60 by 60 pattern. And the primary, like the neg 60 to neg 65 coverage is actually very similar between the APs at that height, right? This is kind of a taller ceiling. But where the difference comes in is like that neg 65 to neg 75 range, right? On the Omni, it goes out much further. On the directional antenna AP, it's much more. It's not like a sharp like a cliff drop off, but that neg 65 and neg 75 range is much tighter, and it promotes a better roaming experience. And so we're seeing these APs used in office environments as well, like 10-foot ceilings, normal office, use the 47D or AP with built-in directional antenna in the like kind of high AP density environments for better roaming, less code channel. And then APs with the flexible antennas to like choose the pattern is also very convenient. One AP for multiple use cases, and so yeah, I think this is a very exciting part of Wi-Fi 7 is these APs that there's more options now, for APs that have rather than just an Omni AP or an external antenna AP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess just on the flexible radio front, we kind of started from 5 and 6 gigahertz capable radios. In the Wi-Fi 7 APs, we have 2.4 radio, which you can switch to a second 5 gig, for example. So I mean that's one part. But you ask about the most complex or the most flexible, you see. So I would say that would be the large public venue AP, which I should say it usually is this small. So this is the Cisco's large public venue access point. When you look at it after it has been deployed, simply because it usually lives 20 meters above you, if not more. So that's what it does. What it packs is basically it's got a enclosure. So it's pretty much weatherized enclosure. You can deploy it outdoors. So you can use the same hardware indoors, outdoors. It's got a antenna array. You can switch between multiple modes. So again, thanks to you guys for adding it into Hamina. And then you can use it in different physical orientations as well. So if you choose the 9179F, you can basically have it like this. You can have it like that. Pretty much any other orientation. And then you can select the patterns, which basically includes few patterns you can get from the AP from the front of the access point. So kind of shooting this way, or typically ceiling mounted 20, 30 meters high in a stadium or large venue. It's got a single 2.4 dual 5 gigahertz and a 6 gigahertz radio on top. And you can basically switch them between multiple modes. I guess the beauty of this one is it's got N-type connectors as well. So what you can do is you can even attach an antenna on the back of the AP. So if the AP is underneath a overhang, for example, you can cover the overhang part using external directional antennas, so it kind of shoots backwards. And then the main lobe of the AP basically covers the actual seats you want to cover. So super flexible. But the nice part, what you can do is obviously it has GNSS built in. So if you replace this little frame with something we call the environment pack, it basically flips the access point. It's got a chip on it and a couple of pogo pins on the board. So when you install the environment pack, it basically switches the AP from indoor mode into standard power mode. At which point you can pretty much use it in SP mode, and it basically becomes a outdoor access point. So again, the beauty is you can use the same hardware indoors, outdoors, different physical orientations, different beam orientation, beam pattern, I should say, as well. So yeah, super flexible in that sense.
It seems like this methodology of like smaller and smaller cells and more tightly controlled cells is now also coming to a little bit to even carpeted space as well, with a heavier down tilt Omni. Higher capacity, better roaming. Is it kind of better roaming what's driving it, or higher capacity?
It's I would say it's the CCI usually. I mean, in some of the busy offices in London, we've done, and we've literally just finished one. Customer comes to mind, Central London in London City. Basically a professional services customer, brand new building. I should say state-of-the-art building. That's how they would call it. And it actually is a really nice building. But the thing is, it's one big open floor plan. So you put an AP here, and you can actually hear it anywhere on the floor.
Yeah.
So they deploy the 76D1 access points everywhere, which helps you kind of keep the cell size a bit tighter. It's not kind of as sharp as the stadium or the large public venue product, which is kind of razor sharp, which is exactly what you want. You kind of want people to roam whenever they hit the next access point. But yeah, carpeted floors, absolutely with the D1, you can absolutely do it.
So, to wrap things up, what are the predictions for next year? Where are we gonna end up with all this? So how's Wi-Fi 7 gonna pan out, and how are these flexible radios and antennas and all of that? Without obviously spilling any NDA beans, you know, what can we expect? Is this trend going to continue, and what are we going to see?
I'll start. I would say, if this year was the year of Wi-Fi 7 deployments and APs, next year will be the year of like Wi-Fi 7 learnings. With, let's say, 2026 is the year where we make the statement of, is MLO more like OFDMA, which we like, or is it more like multi-user MIMO, which we don't like?
Yeah.
I want to be able to make that statement next year. And then, at the same time, I think some of the things that we've done on, these increased options on the APs, we'll have a pretty good idea if they're a flop or not, hopefully.
Yeah. And what about you, Jiri?
Yeah, so I've typed a couple of things here before I forget. So I think one thing is the transition to 6 gig. I think that's a big one. So WPA3 and 6 GHz. I feel like some people plan it in two phases. They kind of first want to go into WPA3 and then enable 6 GHz, which personally I feel like it's just too much too much headache if you can idly go and do it at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. So I think kind of looking at the when do we enable WPA3 and when do we actually go and benefit from 6 gig. I would keep it simple, to be honest. I would even start with the guest SSID. Guests typically use quite fresh devices, and they might bring all these Wi-Fi 7 devices they get this Christmas. They might have 6E capable laptops. So yeah, I would even if you don't want to kind of overshoot it, start with the guests, get them from 5 gig into 6 gig. That will make your 5 GHz much better than it is today, with no effort, without forcing your users to go into 6 gig and kind of forcing WP3. At the same time, this past um, February at Cisco Live Amsterdam, we enabled WP3 only on the main SSID. So usually, big event, we play it safe. But this year, back in February, WP3 was on the main SSID. We had a couple of people coming back to us with like a 12-year-old iPhone and some other device, which ended up being an IoT device. But most of the people had really good time. We had no kind of major complaints about WP3. So if we can do it at a kind of high-profile Cisco event, I'm sure you could do it at your company, and if not, start with the guest, kind of start using 6 GHz in one way or the other, and it will make your 2.4, if you are using 2.4, but definitely 5 gig better for everyone else. So that's that. And I guess the other thing I'm kind of not really worrying about, but I'm conscious of, is the default settings on the consumer kit. So pretty much similar to what we've seen in 5 GHz, all those kind of super wide channel access points and all of that. Yeah, I think we all kind of need to be conscious with. I mean, all of the enterprise vendors are reasonable about this. It's mostly the consumer kit, which when people start shipping APs with 320 megahertz wide being the default, yeah, it's not going to be a pleasant experience unless you have no neighbors and no other AP around you. So that's that. And I mean, we're heavily involved in this. That's just the last one point in the spectrum discussion. So I guess many of you have heard about the news coming from Europe a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, we're heavily involved. Obviously excited about any new spectrum. But yeah, stay tuned is all we can say. And yeah, we're doing our best.
Absolutely. Jer Bear.
I'm predicting that 2026 is going to be the year of standard power. How do
Oh,
we feel about
wow.
that? How do we feel
How
about
is that
that,
going to
Jiri
materialize?
in
Now,
West? I mean, I might be
that is
biased
real
being on the
development.
U.S. side of things. We might be a little further along than other parts of the world, but that's the thing I'm most excited about, which again is still related to 6 gigahertz. So clearly, I'm not too excited about all the Wi-Fi 7 stuff, or Wi-Fi 8 or anything like that. I'm still focused on 6 gigahertz.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
that
that's probably true. Let's say, it's Jussi talked about my WLPC session coming up in February. That will be one of the things I talk about. Um, and I think standard power, obviously outdoors and external antennas in the US is mandatory, but the unknown is standard power indoors. Is it feasible? Is it useful? And
that's the thing.
I think yeah, that's a good prediction.
I like it. It's a good prediction. To me, it's fuzzy still. The whole indoor SP is very, very fuzzy how it's going to pan out. Andrew, any predictions? Except you getting better.
I predict that it's not Wi-Fi 7 related, but you're going to keep producing features faster than me and Joel can document them.
That's a fair estimate, and I predict that these webinars will continue to be advertised at 60 minutes and roll over to 90 minutes. That's one of the predictions. I also predict that from the Wi-Fi tools perspective, the trends of like highly integrated with the vendors, that we'll see more and more. We will like kind of the tools vendors will more and more help out the vendors on the visual representation side, and then I think the trend already started with things like AI walls and things like that. But engineers will be less and less spending time on kind of the unnecessary things and more on the actual factual Wi-Fi things. And also the tools will get easier and easier and cheaper, and thus we will empower more and more kind of run-of-the-mill IT people who are not that passionate about Wi-Fi. We will more and more empower them to be a part of this. Wi-Fi will not so much be just a privilege of a few. I think next year we'll start to see more and more of like good Wi-Fi and enabling good Wi-Fi becoming kind of a commonplace. Oh, and with that, may I present Olli Paakkunainen bringing over a glass of red wine to end this webinar in the year. Thank you, sir. That's a very, very generous pour. There you go. It's a
Just keeps
massive
going.
glass. I guess thank you, Olli. I'm definitely not driving home after this.
Taking care of security.
I appreciate our chief security officer just came in and made me wasted. So. Yeah, that's the prediction. Any predictions on the I was gonna say jazz because I'm already getting intoxicated, but I'm gonna say chat. Um, Anything on the chat before we depart, or any final words, Mr. Brejcha, Mr. Purvis?
I think we have to stay on until you finish that glass.
Be a
It will be a
while.
lot better or worse webinar, depending on your point of view. For me, it will be delightful.
No, I think my final would be on the educational front, if you will. So I think, yeah, if more people make more great Wi-Fi, I think that would be great. So yeah, spend as much money as you spend on the hardware and other bits on the education and kind of get yourself up to speed on how to design. I mean, yeah, pick the tool that works for you, but I mean, as you mentioned, oftentimes it's kind of the switching team or the infrastructure team deploying Wi-Fi, and oftentimes, yeah, it's just one of the many things they're kind of tasked to do. So I guess we make it easy for them, but at the end of the day, when it comes to the RF, when it comes to design, yeah, it's super beneficial when you have a background in that. When you're kind of starting in RF and you are moving into brand new office, it's tough for everyone. So I
Absolutely.
guess, yeah, ask for help when you need help. And yeah, I think as an
Exactly.
industry, yeah, conferences, webinars like this, any sort of education, speaking to people, I think that helps to kind of
That's
follow helps you follow the right track so that whatever you design is kind of right from the get-go. It's not something you need to go and fix a couple of months later, which I guess gets costly and slow, and yeah, there's lots of headache for the actual users.
That's well said. And like I think there is always this caveat as the tools and the vendor systems and all of that gets easier and easier and easier. It is kind of like Keith Parsons likes to say that Wi-Fi works. Even if you design it badly, it still works. To some extent, it kind of struggles, but it works. And there's a chance of more and more of that happening if we just design like super easy to use dashboards and tools, but we fail to kind of somehow also educate the fundamentals to the next generation. I am a bit afraid of this whole Wi-Fi engineering thing and wireless engineering thing becoming a thing of the boomers and not enough like young engineers coming up. So this industry is very friendly. People are very friendly. They are eager to help. Like for the younger engineers out there, like just ask for help. All of us are like so happy to talk about these things. We love the industries and we love the technology. So we're happy to talk about it. Mr. Purvis, anything before we depart?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a real risk, right? I think from an industry level, the hardcore um, network engineer, the hardcore Wi-Fi engineer is there's a lot more like there's less of it, I think, and
Yep.
that it's important to bring in the next generation. And I think the tools will change because of those, the next generation generally become easier to use, both from, planning as well as, on infrastructure side. I think, overall the trend is things become easier.
Agreed. Thank you so much, Jiri. Thank you so much, Wes. Andrew, you're a trooper. Even though you're next to ER at this point, you still showed up. That is not the company way, by the way. You should be resting, but still much appreciate that, my friend. Jerry, you want to drive us home with final thoughts on the real talk?
Well, there was one question that we didn't get to in the Q&A, so we can tie it into that. So German said, can we use Onsite as an online remote sensor like the G3? So I'm assuming is referring to like the AirCheck G3 and how you can like remote into it using like VNC. So my mind goes to, I mean, one, no, that's not like the design or whatever for humming Onsite. But that said, I think that's that orb component that we kind of talked about, right? Where that fits into that, where you can actually deploy these sensors. Obviously, it's not the same concept of like remoting into like an AirCheck G3, but it does serve a similar kind of purpose. And the cool thing is you can, for a fairly low cost, distribute those throughout like an organization, have these kind of remote sensors that are feeding all this data into the analytics there that you can monitor in real time remotely, all that kind of stuff. So not exactly the answer you were looking for, but that's kind of where my mind goes to it. And kind of going into 2026, I think we're going to see more and more of that kind of stuff, being developed on our side and other tools out there.
That's an excellent point. And whether it's Thousand Eyes, whether it's Marvis Minis, whether it's Aruba UXI, the theme that we forgot to discuss is client experience, which in conferences in the industry more and more has been kind of raising its head like over the last year. And it's not a new thing. Cisco's been talking about it. Mist has been talking about it. Like a lot of like Bob Friday's thinking stems from like true client device experience. So we will have more, like you said, Jerry, both I'm sure the vendors. And also us integrating with the vendors more, there will be more of that. Us integrating more with Orb, there will be more of that. And us announcing new products, next year, there will be more and more of that. So yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be an interesting first half of next year for sure. Second half will be kind of boring, but we'll get through it. Thank you everybody for joining. Really, really appreciate that. This was recorded, so you will also receive the recording. Spread it far, spread it wide, and yeah. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Wes. Thank you, Jiri. I'm off to home after this glass of wine.